Radio and television attribution in Canada. Can we do it? Yes, we can. We could do that right now. But before we get into it, what is it? How does it work? What does it do for us? Why do we need it? So let's start with what is it? As you might appreciate, when we run campaigns across the country, we're using multiple media, within each media, multiple vehicles. Digital, radio, TV, within digital, social, influencers, etc. Media, advertising, or marketing attribution is the ability to determine which one of those channels resulted in the desired outcome, whether that desired outcome be a website visit, a purchase, signing up for a form, or whatever that goal may be. Attribution is the ability to determine which one of these touch points resulted in the greatest probability of success. So why do we need to do this? Because it allows us to optimize our media selection. It allows us to figure out which customer touch points along the consumer journey resulted in the best possible outcome. So for example, for a digital campaign, if we realize that a particular tactic, perhaps display, is performing better than social or Instagram posts and so on and so forth, we would then be able to allocate dollars to that part of the campaign and hopefully garner better results. It also allows for sequential messaging, the ability to deliver different messages at different times in the consumer path. If somebody's in the consideration set, just becoming aware, somebody's ready to buy, you can give them different messages. How does this work? Well, once a customer performs a desired action, let's say it's visiting a website, then we're able to go back and find out where else they came into contact with our messaging, whether it was social or display or pre-roll, etc. Okay, so now we know how they got there and why they performed the actions that they did. But how do we know which touch point to give credit to? So in other words, which ad or which vehicle, which media to give credit to? How do we attribute the value of that goal? There are two basic ways to give value to the touch points. The first is called single touch. That means you give all of the value to the last click before your desired action or to the first click of your desired action. You give it full value. So 100% you optimize on the last, whatever was the last site or the last vehicle they use, you give that 100% value, or the first click. The second way is multi-touch, and within that there's a bunch of ways to do it. Multi-touch, you could do equal value, so that means that a customer who's seen 10 ads, you would give value equally to each of those ads, and they may be social, maybe display, maybe video, maybe broadcast, you give them all 10% value. That's called equal value. The other multi-touch attribution model is weighted. That means that you give different values to different touch points. Your last click, for instance, might give them a 30% value. Your first click might get a 30% value. Clicks in between may get a 10 or 15% value. So you've got different values for different touch points. And the last way for weighted attribution is algorithmic, where the system actually gives values for you based on a whole bunch of parameters: time spent with the ad, number of times seen the ads in the different channels and the different vehicles. It allocates a value to each touch point for you. So back to radio and television attribution. How is it being done in Canada right now? Well, one of the ways is pretty straightforward. You take all of your invoices from your radio and your television. You upload them. And when you upload them, the invoices have spot details right down the exact time, 1:01 p.m. and 30 seconds, for instance. So now we know when the spots run. You take a baseline of the customer's website, of traffic, so you have a baseline. You marry the two. And if there's a blip in traffic at 1:01 p.m., we know that that spot, we can attribute that traffic to that spot. And you accumulate all of the information and you get a pattern, and you're able to say, well, television is delivering X and radio is delivering Y. The other way, which will be coming, they're making headway in the US. One of the leaders is Warner Media. What they're doing is they're tying set-top box data to your digital data. They tie them together. So now you know exactly that a spot aired on this household, and you can tie it to the surfing patterns of that household or individual, and it gives a much more accurate picture. We're not there yet. To do that, there's a lot of hardware that the Canadian networks would need to invest in, but we'll get there soon enough.